I actually think I stuffed up my lesson last week because I think I did because I was because we were somewhere else I was somewhere else last week with my little computer and I got a bit discombobulated and I think I did my lesson from the week before twice now. But it's probably why I needed it. What
No
about you
doubt.
guys?
I, I've been working one lesson for 2 weeks now, so
Uh-huh.
in the
What
same
was it?
boat, I think. All healing involves replacing fear with love.
Ah, how'd that
Well,
go?
it went good
Hmm.
because I got sick after the trip, so you know,
Yeah,
it was good.
those planes are just like little germ factories, aren't they?
They're like a petri dish.
Yes.
It definitely. And then I was in a room staying with strangers in a big house and in a room with 15 people I didn't know from all over the place. People came in from London and they came in from LA and Washington, D.C. and lots around San Diego. So
Mm.
there was a lot of people there, which was great, but it was good. It
Mm.
was good.
Good.
And aligned trading in a long time, so it was fun for me.
Mm. Awesome. Anybody else?
My thing that said last week was we're in the atonement together, which I think were actually Carly said. Because if I remember rightly, last week a lot of the wording in the book was negative, and I didn't want to
Yes.
write the negative stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I liked that actually, and I have sort of taken that with me through the week.
Nice.
We're in the atonement together.
Beautiful.
Isn't it
Good.
funny how we pick up on that, the negative in the book, which is not, I don't feel is meant to be negative,
Mm.
but we pick up on it and we change it around to make it more of a positive for us. Because I've done that in previous ones as well. So it's interesting.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I repeated if I am fearful or in judgment, then I am not acting at one ment. So I did that again, I think. And journal entries really, when I do journaling instead of just thinking, it tends to get a bit clearer for me. And it made me feel it produced a feeling of total gratitude for some things that have come up recently that have got me out of things like the treasury role of the Chamber of Commerce and made me realize that's a really good move and I'm really happy with that. Even though it might have been a little bit ugly getting out, I'm grateful for the people who helped me get there,
Mm.
despite the fact that they were being quite ugly. And having resolved all my feelings around that and my values are now in better alignment, it has helped me being in a small town. People are going, oh, well, you want to do treasury for us then? Or you want to come on our committee meeting, Bill, on our board? It's like, no, thank you. No, thank you. Very flattering, but no. So that's been extremely helpful.
Yeah, I couldn't do it, especially if it's on a volunteer basis. They were going to pay you maybe, but it's a lot of work and you have to deal with a
Yeah.
lot of personalities.
Yeah. And it was a good experience. I don't regret doing it. And now I've done it, I don't need to do it again.
So true. True.
I did that before I left New Zealand. I was on the Chamber of Commerce for the town I was living in. And yeah, it is a lot of work, and people have their own thoughts and opinions, and they're
Yeah.
not open to anybody else's.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Mm.
And the chamber kind of feels a little bit like it's yeah, it did feel like there were people there with their own agenda, and they weren't really interested in putting, like they'd say, this is what you need to do, and it's like, okay, that's a great idea. How about you run with that? Oh, no, 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 I don't have time.
Yeah,
That was a big thing.
always
People
how
don't
it
have
is.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was good. Joe has
And
gone off. He looked like he was meditating, so I won't ask him.
the
Mm,
mine from 2 weeks ago, because last week I was just listening in,
yes.
um, is selflessness can be a moment of true purposeful love. I'm still
Mm,
sitting. I
mm,
mean, I've had that in the past. That was based on the stories that I shared a couple of weeks ago.
mm,
Um, and I think when you really identify that somebody needs help in whatever way, shape, or form that is, that's when that true purposeful love comes through.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the stories you were telling, you were sharing, Linda, was very much, you could feel that it was all about selflessness and love and helping others. Um, but I'm very careful when I'm helping others because and to make sure that they actually want the help,
Mm,
or else you're not helping anybody.
Yeah, I guess you need to go into it. Um, from my own personal experience, you need to go into it with not wanting anything back. It's just a total pure, um, and I can't even think of the right word to use there, whether it's love or purpose or, well, I guess it's a oneness, isn't it?
Yes. And
Mm,
yes, I get that when you say that as well. Like you're helping someone without having an agenda.
absolutely. Yeah.
And that's when it's selfless and yeah, beautiful. Thank
And I
you.
actually broke that the other day because, and I don't even know why I broke that, but um, we've got, we grow, we've got some curry trees here, curry leaf trees. And there's a cafe here, and there's some Indian people who run it. And Swabby said to me, just take a big bag, because I went down there, I go down there probably once a week to have a chai latte and some lovely food. And he said, take a big bag of the curry leaves down for them. So I did that. And then I ordered a chai latte, and then I ordered a croissant, I think, to take away. And they took the bag of leaves, and then I was left with a still a full amount to pay. And I thought, you cheeky bastards, you could have given me a little bit off my food. And I was telling Swabby about it, and he said, no, you don't go in expecting anything back. And I said,
Yeah.
you know what? I actually know that. And I don't even know why it crossed my mind at the time. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, I broke my own rule.
And
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 I was
you're
glad to
aware of
have it point, I was glad to have it pointed out to me as well. And I appreciate
yeah,
it. You know?
yeah,
That's the kind of
yeah.
partner you want, Linda.
Oh,
Someone who will coach
absolutely.
you along the way. It's really good.
Absolutely. And we do that for each other. And it's such a beautiful thing. Especially if Swab, because he's dealt with a lot of pain over his life. And he'll say, whatever he says, like, oh God, this arthritis in my wrist is killing me and blah, blah, blah. And I'll say to him, and you're just putting it out there. It's pain. That's all it is. There's no need to put a label onto it. And it's really quite funny how that interaction works. And then he just sort of looks at me and smiles so it really is a two-way street, and it works extremely well. And it just pulls us both back into our purpose and our path. Mm.
Well, that's what always makes a relationship deeper, is that it
Yes,
becomes a spiritually focused um, path that you walk side by side, and you coach each other for each other's awakening. And we were just at the lake and we're watching the sun go down. And I was talking about something, and Robert just goes, Gary, just close your eyes, leave work in the office. We're watching the sunset, listen to the waterfall, take some deep breaths, and quiet your mind. And I'm like, I looked at him, I was like, I love you.
Yeah,
Because that's what we require from a partner.
yeah. And it's never said with malice or anything. It's all about just being in that moment. And
Yeah.
there's times when we're sitting in the kitchen and we've got a big window out to the backyard. And it was only a couple of nights ago I said to Swabby, you're sitting there like you've got something on your mind, babe. And he said, I'm just listening to all the sounds. He said, I'm listening to you talk, but I'm listening to all the bird song and what have you, because we've got a few wattle birds around at the moment, and they're just so friendly, like they fly up quite close to you. Um, and it's a beautiful time of the day when all the birds come in, the wattle birds flying around getting their insects, and it's a really peaceful time. But from my so this is all about previous relationships too, and my learning from that is that if I've seen that sort of look on my previous partner, normally they're thinking about work, or they're thinking about their pain, or they're thinking about something else. And I like to ask the question, because then if they want to share it, it's a problem halved. But no, he's just sitting there and he's just listening to what I'm saying and listening to all the nature that's happening around us. And it's just such a breath of fresh air. It really is
He
beautiful.
sounds like a keeper, Linda.
Oh, he is a keeper, Gary. He is a keeper for sure.
I wanted to share something with you really quick, you guys. Is I watched this movie the other night, last night actually, called The Kind Man, and it's streaming on Amazon Prime. Do you guys have streaming services down there like Hulu and all that?
No,
Well,
we have
if you
electricity and telephones as well, Gary.
shocking, shocking. I know that. I didn't know if you had Amazon Prime though.
Sorry, I
But
didn't mean to embarrass you.
no, 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 not at all, not at all. But watch it. It's this journey of this man who goes and looks for how to connect to God. And he travels to India and he goes through all these different ashrams and all these different teachings from Islam to Hinduism to Sikhism to Sufism. And he goes through all of these different rituals until he finally goes to the Golden Temple in Amritsar. And they feed 100,000 people a day at the Golden Temple in Amritsar. That's the shrine for the Sikhs and the lineages of masters that incarnated. And it's the path I follow, but it's not the religion of the Sikhs. But my master was in the Sikh lineage of masters. So it's similar, but it's not the same. They decided there's no more masters that will ever come, and everyone that shows up is false. So it's just our Adi Granth Sahib, much like the Bible, and that's what we worship. But they feed 100,000 people a day, and he said he went in there and served food in the kitchen and cooked in the kitchen for 100,000 people. So you can imagine what that was like. And he came out of that experience and he said, I finally connected to God. And they were interviewing him and they said, well, how? What happened? And he said, I fed God for 14 hours. I looked in the eyes of each person, and what looked back at me were the eyes of God. And what I realized that was unconditional service to creation is how I connect to God. And I was like, I love that. I love that. So you guys are right. It's right in line with what you were saying, Linda. Unconditional seva or service is how we begin to connect more deeply to God because we're actually serving God.
And
That's
it's
what we're
okay to slip up every once in a while and think the opposite of that because
And
we are
demand
only
a
human,
discount.
let's face it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But
What
I
was
highly
that?
recommend you guys watching it.
Yeah.
It is really a beautiful, beautiful cinematography. Beautiful things are said throughout it. Sadhguru's on there. Um, there's another master on there as well. There's just beautiful things that are said.
Yeah.
So you may want to watch it.
Yeah.
It's worth the
Made
time.
a note.
It's called The Kind Man.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for it. Sometimes what you have on Amazon Prime or Netflix or whatever isn't the same as what we've got though. But
Yes, that is true.
I
Just going to have a
I
look
knew
now to see.
that.
yeah, that's what you meant to say.
I did.
Not,
That's
not that you
exactly what I
haven't at
meant
all.
to say. I knew all along. Didn't know it all.
I was going to say hi to Jane, but she's popped off somewhere. So, shall we start reading?
Yes, I'm happy to start. My cereal's down.
Are
All
you
systems
finished
go.
your dinner breakfast?
Uh, Dinner.
Okay, number 5 then, a nice short one.
Okay.
Can you read it? Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine.
Good,
I
good.
have emphasized many times that the Holy Spirit will never call upon you to sacrifice anything. But if you ask the sacrifice of reality of yourself, the Holy Spirit must remind you that this is not God's will because it is not yours. There is no difference between your will and God's. If you do not have a split mind, you would recognize that willing is salvation because it is communication. I think it's very interesting to read that God's will is my will.
Mm.
There's no difference between your will and God's will because we're trained for a split mind. We're trained that we're separated. We're trained that there's some other entity that represents something higher and that we are subservient to that.
I'm still I'm still working through how to identify the difference, but I think our conversation, even so far this morning, is helpful because unconditional service is part of that. That's God's will.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
unconditionally giving, which means that we're, for me, anyways, in my mind, we're in that energy of God just giving freely, like loving freely, giving freely. There's no condition, there's no sin, there's no, you have to do X, Y, and Z in order to gain this kind of grace. It's just given willfully and freely.
And yet, so giving freely of my time in the Chamber of Commerce was not serving anyone. So you still need some discernment around where you give your service.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. And that for me is the challenge. Because I could give and give and give all day to all sorts of things and people that I come across. But is that God's will? If it's not actually, I still need to fill my cup too.
Yeah, but it's
Well, I
always
think
it,
that's the
it
balance.
and it always
Mm,
has to be about us first. Anyway,
mm,
that's not a selfish act because if we
yes.
can't help ourselves, we can certainly not help anybody else. So if we're lacking, it's not much point giving to anybody else.
There's a
Yes.
Or
beautiful line in that movie that says that in order to love God, since you are a part of God, you have to love yourself. You
Mm,
have to care for yourself. You have to nurture yourself. You have to love yourself. And that made total sense, of course. But I think that's the workaround for that, V, is
Mm.
that if it's disruptive to you, and there's lots of people that are acting sort of out of a dark energy, it's really, you don't want to be around it, and you can love from afar. I think the trick is not to judge and condemn, but just to quietly excuse yourself like you've done. Unless, of course, you burned down half the building before you left, which I have no interest. Painted
Yes.
Someone's place went to
swastikas
a
on
dark.
their cars.
I'd
Now,
like to think
Gary,
I did, but I didn't.
Oh,
I've
good.
just been looking up the kind man, but it's not coming up with anything there. So it's definitely called the kind man. Yeah. Okay.
Mm. Who's in it? No, well, it's just a documentary
The
on
guy
some
who
guys.
wrote it, yeah, he
Yeah.
wrote the book. He's a speaker, an author, a coach, a consultant like I am. But he went on this really beautiful journey. He wrote himself a suicide note after all of his success and thought actually he just wanted to commit suicide because he was still depressed after all these years. And he went on this great quest to find God. It was beautifully done.
And what's his name? I'm sorry.
I wish I
Don't know.
could remember. I can't remember.
Yeah, we'll do some research on that. Maybe not in Prime. It's yeah, maybe even YouTube will have it.
Yeah, they may.
Uh,
He wrote a book called The Kind Man, so it's out there.
Yeah, yeah, easy.
On my Google, it said it's on Disney Plus.
Mm.
Oh, and maybe on a different streaming service where you are.
Yeah,
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 be.
could be.
Mm.
Good.
oh, a kind man. A kind man.
Cool.
So are we
Are we
good
done?
with five?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Any
Hope Joey's going
questions?
to be okay.
Yeah, he had to go lie down, feeling lightheaded.
I
How are
don't
you,
have any.
Jane? We didn't get to say hello, and then you disappeared.
I know. I'm sorry. Um, with the time change, I tend to tell time by the sky and whether it's light or dark. And what can I say?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's getting harder here because yeah, you are getting more light, we're getting less light.
right,
So
exactly.
yeah. Mm.
Great to see everybody.
And I bet you Carly will show up at just before we finish because
No, no,
she stays
she
at the same
um she's got jury duty.
Oh,
Oh
has
no.
she?
Mm.
Oh, we're
Gosh.
not the only country with jury duty, I take it.
No.
Mm.
Mm. Okay, who wants to read number 6?
I will.
Cool.
Go for it, Carly.
Go, Coralie.
Oh, okay. It is impossible to communicate in alien tongues. You and your creator can communicate through creation because that and only that is your joint will. A divided mind cannot communicate because it speaks for different things to the same mind. This loses the ability to communicate simply because confused communication does not mean anything. A message cannot be communicated unless it makes sense. How sensible can your messages be when you ask for what you do not want? Yet, as long as you are afraid of your will, that is precisely what you are asking for.
Wow.
Afraid of your will. Wow.
I absolutely love the second sentence. which is you and your creator can communicate through creation because that and only that is your joint will. A
Mm,
divided mind cannot communicate because it speaks for different things to the same mind. And
mm,
that to me means that it's exactly kind of what I was talking about before and what Linda was talking about is that if you see others as God and you're serving others, and that doesn't mean like you hurt yourself in service. That means that you give freely when you absolutely can. Because I doubt if that guy who did that service at the Golden Temple was there for more than 2 or 3 days serving food. He went back to America to do his life. But in those moments, he realized that serving that food was like serving God. And so what I think would happen if I was in his body, I would be able to generalize that state of mind to everyone that I met. And if you can do that, then you and the creator communicate through creation. That is because your wills would be joined to be of service to itself and to another, which all is the same power. And I could see then how that statement would be totally true.
I love that concept of the communication through creation. It kind of helps identify. So with any act, is what am I actually creating here? And we're creating all the time.
Well, that's why I think the movie's called a kind man, because it's through kindness that we exhibit the will of God.
I can kind of see as well what you were saying with you have to help yourself first. You have to be in the space where you can give freely. Because if
Yeah,
you're giving when you're empty, there must be an ulterior motive for doing it. You're not doing it out of kindness because it's not being kind to yourself.
exactly right.
Mm.
I think I have a question that I would put out to everyone because I'm pondering it right now myself is um as you were saying, Gary, that this man worked for a few days in a place that fed somewhere up to 100,000 people. And I guess these man constructed programs that help people, are we also keeping them crippled at the same time? And I guess that's where you know, one one handout after another, and to where people just get very used to, well, the man will take care of me, the government will take care of me. And so, yeah, I just don't know where I fall on that.
Well, this isn't about codependency and it's not about taking care of people. It is about serving God in that
Right.
particular context. And it isn't so much even about the act. I think it has everything to do with the state of mind in which you're doing the service.
Yes.
So,
Right.
if someone's coming to take advantage of a free meal, that's really none of our business, at least in my
Right.
mind.
Yeah.
It's
Yes,
not our
I hear
business.
you.
That's what they're doing.
It's on them.
It's on them. And so, but what
Mm.
what we can do is serve God. And in doing that, you can make a
Hmm.
change in them.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I had that thought too. It's like, well, but must, it doesn't have to be the perfect scenario.
No,
You know,
it could be a
perfect.
smile on your face of someone who looks depressed or someone who's angry,
Exactly.
and you can be kind to them. It could be any of that. It's about our state of mind as we perform whatever engagement we have or whatever acts we want to create in creation. If we
Mhm.
extend it in a way that's seeing the light of God in that person, that animal, that thing, that tree, whatever it is, we elevate our own oneness.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what I think, for me, anyways, that's what the message is. If I want
Yeah.
to communicate with my creator, I can most easily do it by extending kindness and generosity to the creation,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of how the creation responds to me.
Right. Right.
It doesn't have to respond well, and most, I won't say most, but sometimes it doesn't.
We
But
we have a service here that a few people put together just at the recreation centre where on a Tuesday night they'll put together a three-course meal and it's like $8 or $10 or something ridiculous. And I always thought, oh, that's for the people who can't afford to eat out or, who need that kind of service. But it's not. It's actually for everybody. And if you've got the money, you can contribute more, and businesses actually contribute the food in town. But it's more about connecting. So the people, it's a chance to just sit down and talk. Some people come because they live alone, and so they get to sit with other people and have a meal together. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's
so
awesome.
it's not just about the meal. Often
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
about the connection and the community.
Okay, when I get super old, I'm moving to Nantup. I'm just going to like
Yeah.
migrate in into the wire of immigration.
When
Yeah.
mum came over here last year and we went down to the Coorong, which is a beautiful part of South Australia, and we were looking in the shop frontages, and there was a sign there that said that the bowling club was putting on these meals, and they did them every whatever it was, Tuesday night or whatever. And it was some, really cheap amount for basically a two-course meal. So we went along to it because we thought, how cool would it be just to integrate ourselves with the locals and just, you know, do something a little bit different. And it was really lovely. And we met some really lovely people there, and they welcomed us so, like, it was inspiring the way that they did it without going over the top. And we went back because we were down there for 2 weeks. We went back the following week, and it was like we were old friends. We hadn't seen these people all week, but there was one couple where they invited us back to their house. We saw them. They told us about an opening of the boardwalk that was happening there, which we went down to, and then they invited us back to their place for a cup of coffee and cake. And we went back there and just got to know them a little bit better. So it's
Hmm.
a really cool community thing to do.
Yeah.
Would be.
And good on the businesses for providing the food and stuff too. I think that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm. Are we done with number 6 then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who wants to read number 7? Linda, do you want to read that one?
Sure.
Thank
You
you.
may insist that the Holy Spirit does not answer you, but it might be wiser to consider the kind of questioner you are. You do not ask only for what you want. This is because you are afraid you might receive it, and you would. That is why you persist in asking the teacher who could not possibly give you what you want. Of him, you can never learn what it is, and this gives you the illusion of safety. Yet you cannot be safe from truth, but only in truth. Reality is the only safety. Your will is your salvation because it is the same as God's. The separation is nothing more than the belief that it is different.
Hmm.
Wow, that's great, isn't it? What a great paragraph.
I'm a bit confused, but that is why you persist in asking the teacher who could not possibly give you what you want.
The ego?
Mm. They talked about the teacher earlier on, didn't they?
Who is the teacher?
Well, there
Mm.
were two teachers, wasn't it? And it was ego and
The Holy
uh,
Spirit?
the Holy Spirit. Yeah,
Right. Okay.
I'll
Huh.
try and that.
See, okay, yeah, that makes sense then. That's an ego who could not possibly give you what you want. The illusion of safety, which is not having what you want. How sad is that? And that's playing small, I guess. It's like when you play small, it's like, oh, I can't, I can't, I can't.
Mm.
Hmm.
I love the last line that says, the separation is nothing more than the belief that it is different, referring to the sentence before it, which is, your will is your salvation because it is the same as God's.
Yeah. Hmm.
If we were to really sit back and consider that my will is the same as God's, like I can't quite wrap my head around that entirely, like how that would look day to day in my activities. If you guys
Yes.
really contemplated what that means in your own life as far as a day-to-day state of or approach to living, what would it look like for you? Thinking that what I will is God's will. I guess I'm asking because I feel conflicted by that thought. I want to know if anyone else feels conflicted as well.
I was. That's how I started this whole thing, was I'm feeling confused. But I think that the unconditional service is kind of the clue.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I have a thought and something I want to share. I want to say certainly in the last year, I've kind of made it my thing. I kind of fell into it and it drew me in and this action of mine. And it's this. When I go to a fast food, a cafe, and someone is serving me, I I want to do more than just order and pay. I want to somehow get to know the person. I want to somehow, I would like for them to know that I want to wish them well for their day. And so I'll say, well, I hope you'll have a good rest of your day. And they'll say, yeah, you too. And I said, will your day get better when you get out of work? And it's interesting what so different people say back to me. Yesterday, I had a woman say to me, look at me surprised. And she said, oh my God, she said, I love where I work here. She said, it's the same whether I'm home or here. And then
Beautiful.
I have other people like, oh yeah, I can't wait to get out. I got 6 more hours, but and that type of thing. And I noticed the look on their face almost like nobody asks me that. No one wants to know more than just, here's the order, give me my food, thank you. And so it's just become my thing. But I feel like I'm looking into their eyes, and it kind of like the eyes of God, because I'm really looking at them. I'm keeping their gaze, and they see that, and it's just, I don't know. Again, it's just kind of become my thing.
Mm.
I've thought of a saying for that, Jane. Remember the human in the transaction.
Oh, I like that.
You know, I try to do that as well, because it feels like a transaction, and they're just kind of getting through their thing. But if we just treated each other as humans, then probably a lot more of them would be happy to be at work and not counting down the hours you know, to
Right,
get out.
right.
Mm.
Yeah, and I guess I think it's important that I know I feel very appreciative that they're on the other side taking my order.
Mm.
Mm.
Um, and I want to convey
Mm.
that it's
Sometimes I've said thank you
I'm
and people go, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sure. It's like that. It's like,
right,
oh,
right. Surprise. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's all it takes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're little words with huge meanings.
Yes.
Mm.
Thank you, please.
We ready for number 8? Must be. Oh, Jane, have you read yet? Do you want to read that one?
No, yeah, I'll do that. No right mind can believe that its will is stronger than God's. If then a mind believes that its will is different from his, it can only decide that either that there is no God or that God's will is fearful. Hmm. The former accounts for the atheist, and the latter for the martyr, who believes that God demands sacrifices. Either of these insane decisions will induce panic because the atheist believes he is alone and the martyr believes that God is crucifying him. Yet no one really wants either abandonment or retaliation, even though many may seek both. Wow. Can you ask the Holy Spirit for gifts such as these and actually expect to receive them? He cannot give you something you don't want. When you ask the universal giver for what you do not want, you are asking for what cannot be given because it was never created. It was never created because it was never your will for you.
Oh,
Ooh,
Holy
that's a
moly.
whole lot. Well, I guess we'd all agree that no right mind can believe that its will is stronger than God's.
yes, tick.
Yeah.
And when you think of it like that, and you think of what they're saying here, that it can't give you what you don't want, but how people live in states of martyrdom and in states of victim,
Mm.
um, and it's not real.
No.
It is on both ends. It produces panic.
Yeah. Hmm. It kind of helps me with the whole creation thing as well, creating things, because um, they're creating things which aren't real, so it's actually not creation at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which comes back to those great questions. Is it true?
Mm-hmm.
You mean Byron Katie's work?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just had this thought that when I had that experience in India, one of my largest takeaways was that I realized that all of creation is based on unconditional love. And I know that sounds like so general, but it truly is. It's like a static love, and everything is consisting of it. And that if we're to be, because I always had this feeling when I was younger, that we're here to be a spark of the divine, manifesting um, God's love in creation, almost like we have to embody this unconditional love and give it freely to everyone. And if that was true, then this whole reading tonight would make more sense to me because maybe we are here to simply be a spark of the divine, being as kind as we can possibly be to all things we come to and meet in our day-to-day acts and travels in creation. And maybe that is being the will of God manifested, is being a light of the divine in all people and all things that we encounter.
Mm.
I think I'd be a heck of a lot happier.
Mm.
And I think you asked a question before. I don't think we really answered it about, what do we create? How are we creating? Did I, did you ask that question or is that my imagination?
Are you speaking to me?
Yes, Gary. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I was asking what would it be like if if we felt like our will was one with God's will? What would our lives look like? What would we do differently? And I think I just answered it for myself
Yeah.
anyways. What
Yeah.
I would do differently.
Yeah. And I don't think it can be planned. I think it's got to be in the moment and to identify and being in that moment to identify what's needed right then and there.
Well, the way that my mind operates, I have to plan. I have to
Mm.
set the intention to step into that and be that with
Mm.
every call I get on.
Right.
And
Okay.
that would be that would be a new way of doing
Mm.
coaching for sure.
Well, imagine if every person that was in front of our eyes that we're talking to or looking at, observing, whatever the case might be, um, imagine if we set the intention of just a what kind of plays in my head is the thought of how can I find the beauty in this person? I know that this person is beautiful, and that's all I want to see is their beauty and their wonder and their splendor. Um, what if we what if we approached every person like that, and they to us? It, I mean, there'd be no more Zoloft and antidepressants
Mm.
because
Yeah.
you would just take you would feel so not alone.
Mm.
You know what
Can we
else
squeeze
I
in one?
thought?
Sorry, Jane.
Oh, I was just gonna say when I found myself thinking of Helen Schuckman and her writing this,
Mm.
how astounding.
Well, she didn't know what she was writing.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was done without ego. I
Yeah.
mean, because, I've talked to Bill Thetford, and he said when
Mhm.
Helen first came into his office and said, I think I'm going crazy. I'm writing all these pages. I don't even believe what I'm writing. And he read it. And he said, you have to complete it. So he started compiling all the pages. And
Mhm.
she thought she was suffering from mental illness at first.
Yeah.
And he convinced her otherwise to keep doing it.
Right.
So 3 years later, we have the Course in Miracles. It was very much a channeled work.
Mm.
Something definitely coming through her.
It's a
Well,
shame most religious texts aren't channeled.
what was that, V?
It's a shame most religious texts don't seem to have been channeled, but they've been written
Oh,
from
yes.
someone's perspective
Yes.
that mm, with some kind of agenda.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I don't think we do have time for another one, and I think this is a lovely one to leave it on. So I'm going to close, stop sharing so I can see you all properly. Yeah. I have my lesson.
Mm.
Tune into
I
your
have my
will because it is the same as God's. Unconditional service is the clue.
I like it.
Anybody else?
I'll read mine. You
Yeah.
and your creator can communicate through creation.
Mm.
I had one, I will look to creation for my answers.
Mm.
Oh, God. Your will is your salvation because it is the same as God's.
Oh,
Mm.
I love that one.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Linda.
And I'm asking the question, how sensible can your messages be when you ask for what you do not want?
Mm.
Cool. All right. I think we're done then.
We are.
Yeah.
It's really good to see everyone. I missed you guys.
Yeah, we missed you
You too.
too.
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest
Okay.
of your day, evening.
Yes.
Evening, I'm going to bed and binging on the White Lotus. That's what I'm doing.
Lotus.
Oh,
What's the White
I
Lotus?
Oh, you in Australia are deprived.
No, I've seen it come up. I think we're getting it soon. Yeah.
What is
Oh,
it?
it is
But I
the
can't remember what it's
best.
about.
It's the White Lotus is a series about collections of people who go stay at these resorts, and it's all about the intrigue of their lives. And this one is particularly incredible. Have you been following it, Jane? The
No,
White
but
Lotus?
you know what? I saw an interview this morning with oh, uh, the tall gentleman with the tall with the receding hairline. He was interviewed, and is tonight the last
Finale. Yeah, the
the
finale.
finale? Yes. So they had him on, and the two people that were interviewing him were kind of oohing and eyeing, and I said, oh, so I wrote down White Lotus.
Yeah.
um
So when it
So
starts
it's so good to
streaming,
hear that.
yeah, when it starts streaming in Australia, watch it. It is it's beautiful, and the characters are wild in it, and so it's really good entertainment. It shows the dark side and the light side of life.
Right.
So
Mhm, mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
it's good drama, that's for sure.
Yeah, well
Oh.
written.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, cinematography is amazing in it, like absolutely
Wow.
amazing. So, you guys have a wonderful night. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you next
everyone.
week.
Bye.